Okay, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to break down this really fascinating 6th grade English lesson that does something you don't see every day. It takes a standard literary skill, inference, and uses it as a direct analogy for religious faith. We're going to walk through exactly how it teaches kids to read between the lines, not just in a story, but, well, in life. And this right here? This is the core of the whole thing. This one sentence, which the lesson calls the truth to remember, is basically the thesis statement for everything we're about to see. It's the destination. But to really get it, we've got to start with the basics. So first things first, we have to be crystal clear on what inference actually is. This isn't just a wild guess, right? It's the skill of being a detective. It's about piecing together the evidence an author gives you to figure out what they imply, but don't come right out and say. This is our academic starting point. So the lesson kicks off exactly where you'd expect it to, in a totally normal literary context. Before we get to any of the bigger analogies, the students first have to get really good at finding those hidden clues inside a story. Okay, so here is the short story the students are given. Just take a second and read through it. You'll notice the author never once says Amira is sad or Amira feels lonely. The text is asking you, the reader, to connect the dots yourself. And here it is, the central question. Based on those little details in that paragraph, what's our conclusion? What's going on with Amira emotionally? The lesson is designed to push students beyond just reading the words on the page to understanding the feeling behind them. Now, what's so effective here is how the lesson breaks down the evidence. It's not just one thing. It's the combination of all these clues that's so powerful. You've got the empty table, her friends laughing somewhere else, the book being used as a shield, and that killer detail about her tired eyes. Put them all together, and you get a really clear emotional picture. In this little chart, it just makes the whole concept click. To really make sure they've got it, students have to sort statements. Leo raised his hand. That's a fact. You can see it happen. But Leo was confident. That's an inference. You're concluding that based on his action. It's a brilliant way to make an abstract idea totally concrete. All right, so after the students get good at finding the clues, the lesson does something really smart. It flips the script and asks them to become the clue makers. Now they have to be the author, planting clues for someone else to discover. So these are the rules for their own little creative writing piece. And you gotta love rule number 4. Provide no direct explanation. That's the key. It forces them to think like a mystery writer, to use details and actions to guide the reader to a conclusion, without just spelling it out for them. And really, that's the whole point. By writing their own clue story, the students aren't just practicing a skill anymore. They're internalizing the art of showing, not telling. Mastering this is the last piece of the puzzle before the lesson makes its big jump. And here is that jump. The entire second half of this lesson is all about building a bridge, connecting this literary skill of inference directly to the theological concept of faith. This chart just lays the whole analogy out, piece by piece. On the left, you have inference in reading. On the right, faith in life. The argument being made is that just like you follow textual clues to get an author's implied message, you follow clues from life in Scripture, what's called God's record, to trust in an unseen God. It's a direct parallel. Now, to support this idea, the curriculum turns to Scripture. This verse from Hebrews is kind of presented as Exhibit A, and that key phrase, assurance about what we do not see, is used to draw that straight line back to figuring out a story's hidden meaning. And then you've got Exhibit B from 2 Corinthians. This verse is used to hammer home that same idea, that both faith and inference require you to operate beyond what's immediately visible. The idea is you have to trust the clues, not just what's spelled out right in front of your face. The whole thing then comes together in the short poem that the students are meant to read aloud. It basically wraps up the entire analogy in a more lyrical, reflective package. The message is clear. Faith, like inference, is about following clues to a truth that isn't always obvious, but is presented here as always true. So you might be wondering, okay, but why? Why teach English this way? And to get that answer, we have to pull back the curtain and look at the explicit educational philosophy that drives this whole lesson. The source material from a group called HeroesMart Academy is very upfront about this. Their core belief is that you simply cannot separate education from what they call biblical morality. The view they present is that knowledge by itself isn't enough. Without a moral foundation, it's incomplete. And if you boil it all down, this is the big takeaway. From this curriculum's point of view, the ultimate goal of learning a skill like inference isn't just to get a good grade on a test. It's about shaping a student's character and their decision-making process through a very specific moral and spiritual lens. So we end here with this one big question. This lesson gives us a blueprint for how a cognitive tool, something like inference, can be explicitly framed as a model for a belief system. And it leaves us with something pretty deep to think about. When does teaching a practical skill cross over into shaping a fundamental worldview? And is there even a line at all?